Right, you know.
Lucky Lefty podcast in the building, brought to you by ONORA Whiskey and NORAWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey, NORAWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure that you're doing so responsibly. Hope everybody's having a great Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Back at it, the ONORA boys, SHAUN Davis, MALIK, ZAIRE. Today's show, it's a Game 7 Monday, baby. It's a Game 7 Monday. Oh, I love Game 7s. I don't care, dude. I don't care what association it is. Hockey, basketball, baseball, I don't care. Just the drama of Game 7s, make it an exciting sports day. So we're going to have an interesting topic, right? Because in this series, we've seen the Edmonton Oilers put themselves in position to be on the brink of attaining unto history. No one has ever come back from being down 3-0. Not just hockey. We're talking about sports in a championship series, bro. And honestly, they have done it on the backs of one individual. So we're going to ask the question today. Does Notre Dame have a player, or do they have players on either side of the ball that can carry the load when everything else is going haywire and they put the game on their back? Put the team on their back and say, yo, follow me. Let's go get it. I guess, left Cam Newton style, shall we say, at Auburn.
Only been done a couple times.
Maybe a little bit of Deshaun in certain situations at Clemson. Vince Young at Texas.
That's right.
Guys that literally can say, yo, get on my back. I got you. In championship situations. Does Notre Dame have a player like that on their roster? We're going to hear from the offensive newcomers as well. Gerby Lambert, Bo Collins, wide receiver, right tackle. We're going to hear from them talking about Notre Dame, why they ended up in Notre Dame, the off-season preparation, the offense, their position rooms, and what to expect. That should be pretty cool. So how was your weekend, Lef?
It was great. Just like you said, Game 7s are always awesome no matter what the sport is. So I'm excited for that. The weekend couldn't complain.
Look, I'm excited to watch this game, but I was super excited that my city hosted one of the best rivalries going yesterday on a Sunday afternoon. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Wintrust Arena. They gave us everything you could expect. 88-87. Chicago comes away with the victory. And like I've been saying the entire time, let them play. Just let them hoop, man. Let them hoop and be entertained. All this other stuff, just let them hoop. That's why I love what Angel Reese and the young lady from the Indiana Fever just told the ref, just go. Get out of here. What are you talking about? Let us talk trash. Let us hoop. This is what we do. You don't have to, legislate this. Let us hoop. It was great to see. Let me tell you something. There's nothing like sports. Absolutely, I'm watching the College World Series. Absolutely. It's been a long time since the number 1 overall seed has been successful in winning the College World Series, and it looks like Tennessee might be able to get it done. Remember, Tennessee was the number overall seed a few years back, and it was Notre Dame that beat them in the Super Regional to get to the College World Series. So we'll see if they have what it takes. Series 1-1, Texas A&M, Tennessee. And Texas A&M, in my opinion, got lucky because they were on the ropes in their Super Regional multiple times. The pitching staff, the bullpen, they were giving up runs like, the ice cream truck on a summer day. Just giving away the ice cream cones. Yeah, man. And I think Tennessee is just a better overall team, especially that pitching staff. Offensively, Texas A&M can bring it, but eventually I think the defense and the pitching staff for Tennessee is going to be able to get it done in that series. So,
super exciting stuff to be about. That's true.
So let us know. Questions of the day. Does Notre Dame have guys that can carry the mail? Do they have guys that can carry the load in championship situations? Want to know what you guys think out there. As always, hit us up. Let us know what you're talking about. Follow us, patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CFB Nation, and then subscribe to us on YouTube. The thumbs up, hit it for us. Share and let everybody know about the podcast. And then, as always, leave your comments because we respond to all. The Lucky Lefty podcast, always committed to making sure that we spin it different. Man, Left. So let's go ahead and jump into it, man. That some of the newcomers met with the media this past weekend on a Friday. And we're going to start with new wide receiver Bo Collins. Of course, you remember Bo Collins. He could not participate in the spring due to not being able to enroll at Notre Dame at the time. And even though he wasn't able to participate in spring ball, he still was around digging into the playbook, getting himself ready. He had to get healthy because he was coming off an injury. So he spent the majority of his spring doing those things. But at the same time, you remember when they took the trip down to Leonard's home, the wide receiver group, he was part of that group. He talked about that a little bit. He talked about Leonard. He talked about what eventually brought him to Notre Dame, as Notre Dame made his top 5 coming out of high school. Eventually, he ended up going to Clemson. Left, I can't wait for you to hear what Bo Collins had to say, because I know his comments about Leonard are going to make you go one way or the other. And that's what
right.
People come to hear. They come to hear Left talk about the quarterback position in this team. But this is what he had to say to start off his press conference. This is new wide receiver, new Fighting Irish wide receiver, Bo Collins.
Man, I feel like I'm meshing with the guys in a quick manner, and just they're taking me in, being friendly. Guys aren't acting weird or anything like that. So it's been a joy just to come in here and be accepted the way I have been.
You know, these new transfers, all of them are just coming across as really good guys. Just really good, just nice kids, well-spoken. And I know that might not be up on your alley, Left, because you talk like you want some criminals on the squad every now and then, bro.
Hey, listen, you got to be a little...
You talk like you want some bad boys, a little Dennis Rodman on the squad or something.
Yeah, you definitely got to be a little different and think a little different if you're going to be playing football, because, nice guys finish last on and off the field.
On and off the field, Left, that's the way you feel?
On and off the field, they finish last. So, you got to be a little messed up in the head, considering the job you have to do to be elite. And, I think that having too many nice guys, we don't always hit the level that we're expected, just because we're just too nice. We play by the rules too much.
Lucky Lefty podcast, Bo Collins introducing himself, nice, short, sweet. But then we get to the nitty gritty. Bo Collins talking about what he brings to the table. What type of asset can he be in that wide receiver room, and how he sees himself.
Guys last year that just so happened to get hurt that are, I'd say, pretty much as good as I am, man. With the throwing sessions that we've had, I've seen the guys, run routes well, and we're going to have a pretty good group this year. But I feel like I can also bring a lot of explosiveness, big-time plays, man, just blocking downfield, aggressiveness, all of the above, man. So I just feel like I'm a good asset to this team.
He's a good asset to the squad, bro. That's what Bo Collins says. Well, how are you feeling about the young man? He said he can bring explosiveness, blocking all over the field, big-time plays. I would like to see that in this Mike Denbrock offense.
Yeah, definitely. He seems to be understanding of what a role player is, especially the fact that he understands his size. You better be able to block at 6'5", 200 plus pounds. So for him to know that that's an impact that he can have, and notice also the qualities of the receivers that are in the room as well. He can see where the pros and cons and the benefits that he can fit within the Denbrock offense that adjusts to just about every receiver. So His impact is definitely more needed when you put the pads on. He's not going to wow you necessarily with the shirts and short skills in terms of just running and jumping and catching the football. But for a guy like Bo Collins, his presence will be felt in the 11 on 11, so to speak, side of football, where he's got to be able to put hands on people and be physical at the point of attack, and also high point the football in traffic. And so that's where he probably thrives at. And hopefully he can get an expanded role and have more impact in this offense as opposed to being at Clemson.
Well, regardless
With a
of how
quarterback
people,
that couldn't get it to him.
yes, he's definitely upgraded at quarterback. He's upgraded at quarterback coming to Notre Dame. I definitely agree with that. Lucky podcast. The young man went on to talk about not only the asset that he can be, but then he started to talk about Riley Leonard, how he views Riley Leonard, and then how he views the offense. Left, this is where the next two clips, I'm very interested in seeing what you think about what Bo Collins has to say.
Definitely, man. Nothing less of the national championship this year. You know, we have a lot of older guys that have come along with me this spring and have gotten here in the summer as well. And we have one mission on our mind, and that's to get it all. But one step at a time, though, we have to focus on, getting our bodies ready this summer as we head into fall camp for sure.
In your throwing sessions, what's it been like getting used to Riley? And does he remind you of anybody, or what are some of his characteristics that you like?
Oh, man. He's definitely one of one for sure. He also was part of my decision to come here, man. I played him last year as well, and he's just a great competitor, man. Doesn't quit or anything like that. I really like his deep ball, man. It's a lot different. You can run under it. He gets it to you, man. Trying to think. He's also a leader, man, for sure. He gets us all together. He's the one who sends the text messages, what the coaches think, things like that. And it's just a good chain of command from the coaches all the way down. He helps us a lot, for sure.
All right. There you go, Left. Deep ball, leadership.
Yeah,
it's better than what we previously heard. That's a little bit more in depth. Yeah,
definitely the qualities of what you want late game. A guy that can push the ball down the field, a guy that has leadership in tough moments. And I think them gelling and finding those moments they can get together is most important. Now, this is coming from a guy that's talking about a guy that they both are unavailable. So two guys speaking about each other that are both unavailable can only go so far, right? So if they can ever spend any time together on the field at the same time, then I'm sure we'll be able to get to see some of those qualities that not only they're excited about, but we're excited about. I mean, we recruited these guys. We've watched the tape. We've courted them in a sense and showed them how they can fit and what they can do with this offense. And I know they're excited about it, but availability is the best ability. And so I would love to see those same qualities come out. And with them now being able to get that chemistry together, hopefully they can make up for some time that they didn't have in the spring.
Lucky Lefty podcast, once again, Bo Collins talking about Riley Leonard, the great deep ball. He's not the only wide receiver that I heard referred to the deep ball of Riley Leonard. And we've seen this Notre Dame offense for a long time play in between the hashes, right? Width-wise, and then 10 yards vertically, 10 to 15 yards vertically. Knowing that they have a quarterback that throws an accurate deep ball and that can go ahead and take shots down the field, I'm super excited, Left. You know what I want to see the first game out? And I don't even care if it ends up being 3 and out. I don't care if they go 3 plays and out. If Notre Dame comes out and throws 3 consecutive deep balls and they go fall incomplete, you sent the message. In my mind, Left, I'm like, yo, you've sent the message. I don't even care if we have to punt. I would be happy with that. Like, okay, we're letting people know this is not your grandfather's or your father's Notre Dame. You're not sitting back just running the ball 2 times and then trying to get it 3rd and long and move the chains. No, we're coming after you. I would love to see that. And knowing that Riley Leonard is a quarterback the wide receivers are confident in, with their ability to throw the ball. And then you spoke to Benjamin Morrison when you were participating in his camp. He told you what he gave positive thoughts and had positive thoughts about Riley Leonard thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the leadership has been the constant theme from a Riley Leonard, and that's impressive considering him not physically being on the field, but his leadership is still felt in the locker room amongst the veterans. And so it's also good to see, that he's gaining the respect amongst the team coming in a 1-year deal. And I think that's very commendable for him to find ways to have impact as he's not available like they probably envisioned him coming first day. And so it is going to be interesting to see that leadership and where it's going to come from on the offensive side. That's very talented, but young and veteran in new positions. So you got 1-year guys that are old, but they haven't been a part of this team for a little bit. So how does that leadership meld in with the Jaden Thomases and the older guys on the offense? So there's some young guys there, and I think for Denbrock, he wants to find and identify who that leader is, and that can put this thing together. When it's coaches on the sideline, just players on the field, what's the leadership look like from a team that's pretty much new on the offensive side of things?
I'm very interested in seeing how Mike Denbrock shapes. You know what? We talked about this a little bit on our Friday show. Brady Hart committing to not Notre Dame, but Michigan. And it stung because, you were like, I was cool with him going any place else. Like, if he had gone to Clemson, I'm like, dude, they haven't produced anything at quarterback. They're going to screw that up. He goes to Florida State. Like, all right. Sharon Moore has shown the ability to be able to get the most out of his quarterback. And that's very important as an offensive coordinator, as a play caller, and now the head coach. But I might think Mike Denbrock has shown that ability not only out of the quarterback, but the wide receiver, the running back. He's shown the ability as a play caller and developer of an offense to get the most out of everybody in that offense and identify the go-to guys. So with that, I think that plays into our LL question of the day. Does Notre Dame have guys on the offensive side of the ball that can carry the load? In big crunch times, they can be the go-to guys to carry the team. But Bo Collins, I'm interested in, do you think he can be one of those guys on offense at the wide receiver position? Because I heard you refer to him as a role player in your earlier comments. You don't see his trajectory going higher than, being maybe a number 2 guy. You don't see him possibly being a number 1 guy in the offense?
No, I think, from a production standpoint, we have a guy like Chris Mitchell. We got young guys like Jaden Greathouse and, a variety of different options on the receiver side of things from a production. Even Jordan Faison, the amount of love and admiration and just his skill set, I think that can add to a team that, we talked about it being 6 receivers available, and we got about 9 or 10 that can make the cut. So, Bo Collins first got to get in that 6. And I don't know if he's just automatically placed in it because of his transfer, but it's still yet to be seen. And Coach Mike Brown, his philosophy and the way he's getting that room ready, it's going to be a competitive 6 that gets that rotation. So where I see Bo Collins' role playing is where do you stand out in that 6 where others may not be as strong, but where you really benefit. And I think blocking is one of those things that's going to get one of those spots in the top 6.
Yo, I love the versatility in the room. Guys that can play the X, guys that can play the Z, guys that can go ahead and do that thing in the slot in the middle of the field. I think we're going to see a lot of 10, 11. Of course, you're going to see that 12 personnel as well. So I'm super excited about the diversity that this offense is going to be able to show. And those 6 receivers that he talked about left, it's not like the top 4 are going to get all the work. I think it's going to be a really nice rotation, similar to the rotation that's been established at running back over the last couple of years, where you see guys going 4 or 5 deep, getting plenty of opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. This is the offense that I think it should be 4 or 5 guys getting over, 20 receptions throughout the season. And I think that's going to add to why the passing offense is going to be more of a staple this year, which I think the strongest passer should be able to operate well in this. And for a guy, the first year, Riley, who's developing still himself as a passer, this is the best place to be, at least for um, getting that chance to maximize the fit. And Denbrock has been able to do it with multiple quarterbacks that way as well.
So we go when we look at the 2016. Let's talk about the wide receiver room. In your time in Notre Dame, whether it was 15, 16, or 17, which wide receiver room do you think was the most balanced? Most balanced. I was talking to Ryan Roberts, and we were talking about the Chris Brown, Chris Fink, Will Fuller combination, right? And no, we were talking about the Will Fuller, Chris Brown, and I forgot who was in the slot. I don't think it was
Amir
Fink.
Carlisle.
It was Amir. It was Amir. And we were talking about all of those guys playing their role, but Chris Brown wasn't a true boundary corner, right? Because he wasn't a big physical guy, right? Chris Brown had enough speed to really play the same position that Will was playing, but he just went to the boundary because that was needed. And he was one of the top guys on the team. During your time there, what do you feel like was the best overall wide receiver situation where you had flexibility and depth and no redundancy in the talents in the room?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely 2015, just because you had the experience in veteran leadership that you had starting in a Chris Brown, but you had your most talented and best player and fastest player in a two role in terms of a leadership and who do you look to in the receiver room, which played well, that allowed Will Fuller to just focus on being the most talented in the room. But as a receiver culture in the receiver room, they look towards Chris Brown as the leader, as the guy that's going to set the pace, keep the expectations, set the standard. So it worked out well for Will, who his personality was at the time, more quiet and reserved. I think he was able to continue to be himself because the leadership and the impact of what it meant to have veteran players in that receiver room was carried well by those seniors and even the young guys that followed along. So it was a nice mix and a balance of versatility, camaraderie, and the receiver room at that time wanted to be the best unit on the team. That was their expectation. They didn't just want to be a part of the offense. So whether it was workouts, whether it was competing in practice, those guys were definitely carried themselves at a high level, and it carried throughout the team itself. And I think versatility-wise, I mean, you had a young group with an EQ and a Miles Boykins, those guys and Chase Claypool, who were very talented, just very raw and young. But they were the bigger, so to speak, class coming in. And then you had the ultra talented Torrey Hunters and Will Fullers and Amir Carlisles and the Corey Robinsons and the Corey Holmes that, not necessarily a number one receiver, but they all complemented each other well around Will. So it was easy to have an order of operation of, okay, Will's our main state, but all these other guys are going to play their position along and in step and lock key where it benefits everybody, but we're not confused on who to go to. It's kind of, we start with Will and everybody flows off of that.
Yeah, I think the only other receiving room look, CJ was part of that room until the injury.
Right, and that's what made it really nice too, is that CJ being at the slot and him having a lot of experience playing the slot. Because remember, he was playing next to Chris Brown, and it was him, Chris Brown, Will, and our tight end, which is an amazing group. And then you take that same experience from CJ at slot, keep him in the starting role, put him at running back, and then you add and do different things with Amir and a CJ Saunders and a nice mix at that slot. I mean, you really got a good position, and Torrey ended up stepping into that age pretty well the year after. But you talk about a unit that was able to be versatile and move around like that, but also those guys were similarly in the same class. Like, it was our class and class above me. That was the meat and potatoes, and then we had, the year before, the DeVarses and the TJ Jones. Those guys headed out, so it was a great 4 to 5 years of just having consistent standard and expectation in that room from guys that were leaving and guys that was coming in.
I think the only other room would be 2018 that might even compare, right? To diversity, production, young talent on the way up. You're talking about, you add Cole Kmet, Alizé Mack as your tight ends, the promise they had, but then you had Chase, who had blossomed. You had Miles Boykin, who had come into his own. You had Chris Fink. All of those guys produced. They got over 40 receptions, all three of those guys. And then you had Michael Young and Kevin Austin as your babies in the room that you thought were going to be dogs, right? So 2015 and 2018 are probably, in the last decade or so, the two best wide receiver rooms that have ever existed, at Notre Dame. In your opinion, having those two reference points, where do you see the promise of this wide receiver room as far as production and what they can be in comparison to those others? I don't think there's a Will Fuller in the room, but the production still can be there from an overall total impact of yardage, receptions, and touchdowns.
Yeah, it's just about who are they looking towards in the offense. Is everybody looking around like the Spider-Man meme, looking at each other, or are they like, okay, this is the way the ball trickles down the receiver roster, right? So I think having a role and having an offense that is predicated on who they're trying to get the ball to and the attention and focus, I think it allows the players to fit better into that, as opposed to everybody thinking that they could be a number one. And the egos start to arise. So this is I think it's just like quarterback. I think is better to just tell the team who's the starter and not treat it as this is a free for all. I think there's a flow and a chemistry that has to happen with offense, particularly because you need to be able to understand your role, because everybody's talented. It's the same thing as that. Like, everybody can catch the football, and everybody's fast. So knowing what you fit with in the offense that you're running, I think it allows players to grow the right way, but also how to play team football. A lot of times you get into the transfer ideology of, I'm going to go somewhere and be a star, right? So Notre Dame's a little different. And I think finding a guy like Bo Collins who tells you first day, I know I can add value. That's what you want to hear from a guy that wants to fit, and not a guy that's like, I'm just trying to get Charlie Jones numbers and get to the league, right? So I think if we get more guys like that, role players, I think it helps the young guys pop, the older guys get what they need, right? And then you still keep that foundation of the team moving forward.
Let me ask you a question. Who would be more impactful as the number one? Would it be Chris Mitchell or would it be Jaden Greathouse from a conceptual standpoint offensively? Just like how you would like to use that number one guy. Would it be more advantageous for that guy to be Chris Mitchell, or would it be more advantageous for it to be a bigger body guy like Jaden Greathouse?
Well, I think that's where Denbrock has shown having two guys like a Malik Neighbors and a Brian Thomas, a Jaden Greathouse and a Chris Mitchell can kind of be similar in that they are different in body types and even receiver type, but that's the benefit of having a guy like Denbrock who knows how to fit that into a streamline for a quarterback to get him the football. So that 1A, 1B mindset is perfect. That's exactly what we need. And it's exactly when, if that's the focus, okay, now that how does a Deion Cosley play off of that? How does a Jaden Thomas play off of that? How does your young guys get in the rotation once we start knowing where we're going with the football? Because anytime we had a good tight end, we know he was getting the ball. Michael Mayer, we knew he was getting 100 receptions. Cole Kmet, Brock Wright, Troy Nicholas, we knew those guys was getting the football. Then it became, okay, who else at the receiver? Now it's like, okay, we got Jaden Grayhouse, Chris Mitchell, and everybody else. And that's okay because we still got – those guys are young. They're going to be here for a while. But to premier an offense, I like those two as options, right? And it can make your quarterback feel better in an offense knowing, okay, well, they're calling plays for these two guys. Let me not go out here and just make shit up, right, and run around and do the most. So I think this is the perfect example of where our strength can come from. And then if they can't step up to it, then we put somebody else in that spot. But that's how fitting offense goes. You got your offense, and then you got what makes it work and who makes it go. And if your two receivers that are first-round talent make your offense go, then what two receivers in your room have first-round talent that can make it go? And if those two can't get it done, all right, then we might have to put Chris Mitchell with somebody else or Jaden Grayhouse with, so that's what you're filling the holes in for a new offense is my offense an outside receiver threats? Okay, then who are my two best guys and how do we make it work with them?
Yeah, some more from Bo Collins, your new wide receiver for the Fighting Irish.
Awesome. It was one of the best trips I've ever had in my life, man. Not lucky enough to be able to go out the country yet, but I don't have a passport. But within this country, that was one of the best trips I've had. We just went down there, had fun, talked a lot of ball with Phil Rivers. He was giving us pointers on like watching film, being better teammates with each other and things like that. And it was just a great trip. We were in the pool, went to the lake, we went fishing, all that stuff. So it was a dope trip for sure.
And then what are just kind of your initial impressions of Mike Brown so far?
Oh, Coach Brown, I love him, man. He's another interesting guy. Just his personality, he's definitely a great leader so far. What up? He's a great leader for us. He challenges us. He doesn't accept anything less but the standard and our OTA practices that we have. And it's just a guy that brings great energy every day, man. He doesn't have a day where he comes in like he loves football, man. He's just 100% all the time and very competitive, man. We went over his house, played basketball, things like that. So we love him for sure.
So that's Bo Collins talking about new wide receiver coach Mike Brown, but also talking about the trip down to Alabama to Riley Leonard's home. They were at camp. Deuce Knight was there as well. CJ Carr was there as well. They got a chance to meet with in a future NFL Hall of Famer, in my opinion. A lot of people want to debate that, Phillip Rivers. And, he said it's one of the best trips he's ever had. I need you to get that passport, though, bro.
You had Notre Dame. We international. We got G14 classification, right? So we ain't, we taking them double decker, nice charters around the world.
Yeah,
Bo Collins.
That passport, bro.
Yeah, this is what they were coming into new horizons. You used to travel just an hour, maybe an hour and a half, maybe take a bus ride to South Carolina. Yeah, you're gonna have to get that the frequent flyer miles. What they got the Delta First Class Club. You might have to join up because you're gonna be racking up the miles this year.
Yeah. This is one of those important things that I think Mike Brown, who also had the boys over this weekend, they took a nice picture. Took a real nice picture. I don't know if you got a chance to see Mike Brown with his wide receivers. They're deep. I counted a lot more than 6 wide receivers, if you know what I mean. Going back to what we said about the opportunities that are going to be there for young men in this wide receiver room. It should be very competitive going into fall camp. And I love it, man. I love the opportunities that are going to be put out there for young men. And I think it's going to make our young wide receivers even better. I think our young wide receivers are going to benefit from it the most. I really do, because I think when and if they have to get the opportunity due to the fact of injury or something like that, I think they're going to be very prepared for those opportunities.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's just the experience that you get when you get a huge collection like this. I mean, you got Riley Leonard from Alabama, you pull over Deuce Knight from Mississippi, you got Chris Mitchell going up there, Mike Brown's invited, you got Jordan Faison coming off a championship. So this is what national recruitment and the benefit of national recruitment looks like. You get a roster from all over, getting a chance to experience, where they got football from. You got football from all different places. Cam Williams got Chicago in there, got some Texas football. You are training with Phillip Rivers or whatever the case is down there. I mean, the connections are endless, which makes the experience greater. Chris Mitchell's probably heads turning left and right all day. You like, man, you went where? You did what? Because FIU is a small space. He probably not even used to, having to get a passport himself, right? So I think this just shows the heightened quality and experience you get from being at a place like this, and hopefully the turnout becomes a lot stronger in a production standpoint. This is not an easy thing to put together. So, I mean, think about it. They could meet anywhere around the country when it comes to where we're going to work out as a unit at.
Yeah.
They have Alabama because their quarterback is from there. But they could have easily went to Jaden Grayhouse in Texas, or Chicago with Cam, or, South Carolina with Bo, or Jordan Faison in Maryland. They could have went anywhere. So that's what shows how special this experience is.
You know what's so funny? I look at this picture, and Jaden Grayhouse is right in the middle.
That's right.
That could say a lot. That could mean he has the confidence to say, yo, I'm the focal point. But another thing I want to point out, everybody else is showing teeth. That cat Chris Mitchell was like, man, let's get it going. Look at him to the left, right there.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
Like, man, look, let's go. All business. I'm ready to be a killer. I love it. Absolutely love it, man. So that's Mike Brown. Heck, Mike Brown looks like he has 2 future wide receivers right there in his arms.
Just in the midst, in the training. They're in the pipeline.
They're the big body guys on the back line with Bo, Dion, Gilbert. You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Finally, after he talked about spending time down in Alabama on that trip with Riley Leonard and then Mike Brown, we catch up with a topic that I think has been avoided. But Bo Collins, man, gave us a little insight into Lauren Lando and what it's been like getting ready for the season and getting back healthy. Check this out, Lev.
Similarities just as far as like the specifics, like certain routines that we do or sets and things like that. But here there's a lot more speed-based training. I'd say a lot more mobility. Like we come in, everybody comes in on Saturdays to get stretched out, do extra mobility things where you have shoulder problems, hip problems, everything. And they just are really, science-based in science. They drive it into the science and use like boards, let us know how much or how high we jump, how much force you put in each foot, just things like that, man, that are just next level for sure.
He gives us a sneak peek into what the players have been doing and what Lauren Lando believes in. Left, what are your thoughts about the strength and conditioning going on?
What's always cool about strength and conditioning, especially when you get these ritzy strength coaches, that you're always learning how something works. So I think the cool factor in training and how minute and specific it's gotten has definitely intrigued a lot of kids, man. You definitely learn a lot when you do strength and conditioning, considering you don't have that level of expertise at a high school level. Even if you go to a trainer, you just learn a lot and pick up on a lot. And I'm sure all that fancy stuff means something. They got sports science getting better and better every day. So hopefully these little adjustments and how much force you put in the ground and and all of that equates into some wins. And they say football is a game of inches, and now it's even what's smaller than an inch, centimeters. So it's a game of centimeters now because it's the technology and how these athletes have developed over time.
Yeah, I'm encouraged by everything because he was comparing everything to where he just came from at Clemson, and he was like, "Yo, yeah, it's very much more speed skill based. Like everything we do is about speed and mobility and flexibility and coming in and fighting against the injuries, finding the trouble areas, whether it's your hips, whether it's your shoulder, and strengthening those." With exercises and getting stretched out on off days. So they're putting in the work, but then they're putting in the work even on the off days to make sure that they can recover and stay healthy. That's something that I love to hear after a string of hamstring injuries in the wide receiver room last year that made it very difficult for the offense.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what's also important when thinking about how do you get to be the best, right? And being the best is getting harder and harder, just like how the game evolves. It's probably a lot easier to make it to the NBA in the 70s than it is today. I mean, you damn near got to be NBA ready in 5th grade. So getting wins in college football are getting harder and harder because the money's getting higher and higher. So I think all these things included are going to help. And just the impact of what strength and conditioning is going to do for this team is, can it keep us healthy? That's the biggest question I have. And training for speed is important with that. And, I've even learned something on how speed and training for speed is different than conditioning, and how we're conditioning can hurt you in some instances. So as long as we stay fast by December, I think we'll be all right.
Lucky Lefty podcast. I'm super excited about what Bo Collins can bring to this offense. I think, what he said about the strength and conditioning should be encouraging to Notre Dame fans, knowing that, okay, there's a focus, of course, on being fast and playing fast, but there needs to be a focus on making sure we can stay healthy and then recover properly from injuries. And it's good to hear Bo Collins give us some slight insight into those things. When we come back, we will hear from your possible starting right tackle, depending on how things go in camp. Left, could it be a true freshman starting at right tackle down against Texas A&M? Could you have a red shirt freshman on the left side and a true freshman on the right side? More than not, it won't be that way, but it is Notre Dame. We'll hear from Gerby Lambert on the other side right here. Lucky Lefty podcast. Make sure you spin it different.
What's up, family? The merch shop is finally here. Lucky Lefty Network merch shop. We got it all. From the shirts to the hoodies to the hats to the nitty gritties. Come here right now. Shop with us. Come get the swag, because if anything else, we spin it different. You see the gritty. You see how we get down. It's elite.
You wrap me up in the color of love.
Lucky Lefty podcast back at it. Sean Davis, Malik, ZAIRE. We've heard from Bo Collins, new wide receiver for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Brought to you by ONORA Whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com. ONORAWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey. And if you drink, make sure that you do so
responsibly.
You got to do it responsibly, man. Get at us. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, CFB Nation, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audio Edibles Daily, and then YouTube. Subscribe, Lucky Lefty Podcast. Hit that thumbs up. It helps with views. Hit the share button and then leave your comments. We respond to all. We greatly appreciate you, Lucky Lefty Podcast, forever committed to making sure that we spin it different.
Different.
Before we get to Derby Lambert, left our LL question of the day. Does Notre Dame have anybody that can carry the load? Can they be Vince Young? Can they be Cam Newton? Can they be that guy offensively or defensively that can be the difference maker and tell everybody else, jump on my back, kind of like Connor McDavid has done for the Edmonton Oilers, leading them to this Game 7 tonight in the NHL Stanley Cup final. What are your thoughts about that, Left? Do you think there's a guy on the roster that can be that guy? Or is there someone on the roster that needs to become that guy?
Yeah, well, I think that as a team right now, we're in a good position where we're not dying to have that guy just yet. I think it'll be nice to find that guy during the season. We have a nice schedule enough to work through some things and get kind of what we're really good at, I think, towards, week 6 or 7. And by that time, because this is all about peaking at the right time, and guys are going to be able to pop out after October. And so for me, I really just want to see somebody really become that dude. Now, who I think needs to be that dude, definitely got to be from a receiver position. I think everybody else holds the team afloat, but the receiver position, I think, is what takes us over the top in terms of a mismatch problem, because you can't cover everything at that point. Cover the run game, cover the tight end, but if you can't cover the receivers, because that's too many people, we have some impact from the quarterback that we're expected, but I still think that if we could just have a dominant just presence or a threat or an outside menace, I think that's just going to add to how we can be even more special going down the line.
Get your GTB questions in. Get to the bag. We'll answer those on the way out. Eric Spadell, our boy, has a super chat. Says, what up, though, LL Nation? Every day that goes by, I'm getting more excited for the season. We're about to turn some heads. Denbrock is the key, and go Irish. Shout out to you, our boy Eric out there, Eric Spadell, who's always tapping in with us. Yeah, I'm super excited about this offense, Left, and I think a guy, it's easy to say the quarterback. Very easy to say the quarterback. But I think a guy that can really be that guy defensively, that no one is really, people are talking about him, but I think he has the chance to take the linebacker position to another level, really be a leader, and take that Al Golden defense by the reins and just take over. You have guys in front of him that are first, second round possibilities in the NFL draft, and Howard Cross and Riley Mills. You have a Nagurski Award winner at safety. You have 3 defensive backs, right? Christian Gray, Jaden Mickey, and Benjamin Morrison, that has Notre Dame ranked by most as at least a top 3 defensive backfield going into the season. But let me tell you something. I think Drake Bowen can be a dude at middle linebacker. I think he can become a formidable leader. I think he can become a game-changing, playmaking machine at middle linebacker. And you throw in the depth they have at that position, I think he can become one of those dudes that can kind of be in the mold of a Jalen or a Manti and just kind of take over games and carry the load defensively. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, Drake Bowen is definitely lined up to be that next middle linebacker great. I mean, he looks the part. His character aligns with it, and we kind of need something like that. I think we've had a history of it, and when we've had it, it's led to some good success and even a championship run. So it's a lot of weight to carry on his shoulders, but I think he's been lying in the weights long enough, and I think Marcus Freeman's going to have a good handle. Him and Max Bullock guiding that in the right way to develop Drake to be the person that I think he can be as well. I mean, just a dominant presence, the Captain America, if you would say so yourself. So definitely potential there, and I definitely can't wait to see how he leads those other young linebackers in that group on that defense.
I go back to this, man. You learn certain things, and I think his importance and him playing well, not just his importance, but he has to play well. And if he plays well and meets expectations or exceeds expectations, this defense could definitely become one of the best in the nation. We're talking about top 2 to 3, right?
Yeah,
Overall,
I mean,
I'm not just talking about versus the pass. They need to shore up things versus the run as well. That's something you've lamented over the last 2 seasons, how well backup running backs have been able to do, of course. But Clemson, we go face them on the road, and the backup puts up 180 plus yards on the Notre Dame defense. So hopefully Drake Bourne, along with the talent on the defensive line, can put a stop to that.
yeah, I think that's where the area definitely has to be better, and that's just from a performance standpoint, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything structurally or scheme wise where we can't stop, the running, especially the backup running back. So that's a performance thing, and I think through recruiting we've solved that with the talent, and the talent that we had just leave just were a 3rd and 4th round or 3rd and 5th round draft pick to good teams. So if we got better talent than what we just put in the league, which I think everybody's kind of taking a step back and probably should give a little bit more appreciation of what we did have. But if we're getting better than that with these young guys, I mean, hey, I think Notre Dame's perception is just a little more harsh or harshly viewed than the average team out there in college football. I doubt any other program would look at a JT and a Marist, especially after them going where they went in the draft, and would think, oh, man, I can't wait that those guys left. So, usually those guys are, ring of honor type of guys in the future. So,
Yeah.
I think Notre Dame just shows you that it's just a little different over here. Hell, Bo Collins said he had to get a passport, had to get a new social, had to update a lot of things, got a 401k, had to found out about what a Roth IRA was. And yeah, you become a little bit more than just a football player at Notre Dame.
You know what's crazy? I'll give you a group that I think can become dominant and carry the day, given time, if everything goes right. Especially going into the playoff left, the young Notre Dame offensive line. I really believe if they come of age, they could put forth a dominant performance in the playoff. I really do. I think they can really go up against top competition. They're talented enough to go ahead, get the job done, dominate, put up 200 plus yards, allow the quarterback, Riley Leonard, to go ahead and put up 250, some tutties. And it's like, yo, this young offensive line has really grown and come into its own. I can see that being a headline and a narrative as Notre Dame makes a playoff run. That would certainly be good to hear and music to the ears of Notre Dame fans all around the world.
No, 100%. And so that offensive line, I think, is just because of where they're at, if they just follow the track, the tradition, and watch the tape that's been uploaded and been on the files for a long time, they have all the resources to be what they want to be, and as a unit can be really strong if they stick together by year 3 or 4.
Yep, I agree. Lucky Lefty podcast. Let's hear from true freshman right tackle Gerby Lambert. He met with the media and he talked about his position, playing right tackle, and what he's looking forward to.
Yeah, they're definitely a tight group, which is always good in the offensive line room. They're always cracking jokes, they're always having fun, but when it's time to get serious, they really hone in, get serious, and they play Notre Dame football.
And then has Notre Dame kind of let you know where you're going to start out position-wise yet?
Right tackle, yeah.
So they let him know he's going to start out at right tackle. Emil Wagner and Tosh Baker are over there. Why are they over there? Because I still don't understand why people are asking about Charles Jagusah. They're over there because Charles Jagusah kicked their butt in an open competition leading into the bowl game, and has clearly made his way into that pole position. And there's no need to waste Tosh Baker and Emil Wagner's time. Go to right tackle and battle it out, along with Gerby Lambert. It's as simple as that. Like, people are talking about, let's move Let's move this guy to left guard. Let's move Charles Jagasaw to left guard and put who at left tackle? Someone that's not better at him or better than him at left tackle? I mean, make it make sense, Left. I just don't see how that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think we have good problems on our hands, and to have a Lambert and a Jagasaw on the same team, I think it's just a matter of what side of the football they fit best. But you need them both out there.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, in talking about that, where does he see? Does he want to start? Does he see himself starting? Listen to this mature answer, in my opinion, Left. Gerby Lambert talking about where he sees himself going into the fall camp and going into his first season.
Kirby, how do you approach this summer and this fall? I mean, it's not common for true freshmen to play on the line for a variety of reasons. So I'm just curious, take me through the mental process that you take into this year.
Because of how much I trust the coaches, I'm in no rush because I know they're going to put me in when the time is right. I know that they're going to put me in when it's the best for the team. So for that reason, I'm in no rush to start. But obviously, it's I want to play as soon as possible, as any player would. So.
Left. He kind of saying without saying. He's kind of saying without saying, like, hey, I trust the coaches, but hey, I'm not looking to be on this bench that long.
Yeah, that's right. And I think he's got all the right things. He even put on the glasses before the media day.
Got that Midwest big boy towel. You know how big boys carry the towel
around.
Yeah,
had to wipe down one time.
It's too hot. Yeah,
Yeah, to wipe down the collector's thoughts. You know what I mean? And definitely answered on a very intentional level. I think he clearly described exactly what I was talking about in terms of you got everything there to develop you when you need to do what you need to be if you want to be that. If you just trust what's there. And, Charles Jagasaw told you the same thing. He said, I just want to watch 3 hours of tape with Heath Stand. If I could do that, I'll commit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what trusting them coaches have. He never lost trust. And even when Heath Stand gone, he still was able to retain that information and gain even more. And that just shows you that the tradition in the offensive line of Notre Dame and what it means to these players and what it carries, and that trust factor that's built in. I mean, they said, look, if I just get through the doors at Notre Dame as a lineman, I don't care about playing day one. That's not what's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to make it by year 3. If I can make it by year 3, year 4, I know I'm going to be signing whatever I want at the end of the brick road. So that's what that receiver room is thriving for. Running back room is getting there. But it's hard, and for Notre Dame to have that as a staple at Notre Dame, it just shows that, that's a self-recruited position and that you can't always, and you don't always worry about where the direction of them are going.
See, what's so interesting about the Charles Jagasaw to guard conversation, which absolutely makes no sense. Like, people try to be super deep. Like, they break down film every day. They've been to 0 practices, right? But they break down film and want to talk about skill sets for guys, right? Haven't seen them in a practice or in competition. Want to base it upon what they saw in a blue and gold scrimmage. But they don't want to talk about anything else. And they just obviously don't trust the coaches, right? Blake Fisher was the starting left tackle as a true freshman, right, Left?
Yep.
So that means he beat out everybody else. He got injured, and when he came back and was ready to play, a guy named Joe Alt was the left tackle, correct?
Yep.
And had proven himself to be better at left tackle, which means Blake Fisher was moved to right tackle. And for years, people said Blake Fisher has better guard skills. You know what the problem is? Notre Dame didn't have a better right tackle. And if they did, he would have been moved to guard. See, we keep talking about skill this, skill that. Who's going to play left tackle? Who's better? I don't care if he has better guard skills. If you move him to guard, he could be a more elite player at guard. But if you move him to guard, who's playing left tackle? Because left tackle is far more important than left guard. Who? That's the question. For everybody that wants to talk about his skill set, who then plays left tackle? Riley Leonard has already been injured, coming off an ankle injury. Who do you want to entrust be playing left tackle to?
That's right.
Charles Jagasaw, who you think could be better inside, or the guys he beat out in a fair competition? That's, you know what I'm saying? I'm all for putting people in prime position. All for it. All for it. Bring up the question, but what's the solution? Move him. But what's the solution? No problem moving Blake Fisher because Joe Alt was the solution. That's perfect. Move him to right tackle. We got a top 5 pick in the NFL draft playing left tackle. By all means, move him. Move him. They brought a third stringer in because of injury. He showed himself that he was better and could be better than the starting center, and the starting center ended up transferring. By all means, if he's better, he's proven he's better, play him. No one has proven to be better at left tackle. If they go into fall camp, and heck, if Gerby Lambert can prove, hey, I can go over to the left side and I can beat him out. Play him. Notre Dame has proven they're not scared to play freshmen. They're not afraid to start freshmen at the beginning of the year. The history bears that out. Play him. Play him. Unfortunately, we have what we have. And we have to roll with it, man. And until someone else in that room proves that they are the better option at the most important position on the offensive line, we're just going to have to rock with that. Heck, they have 3 really good tackles coming in the 25 class. If one of those guys proves that he's better at left tackle, by all means, move Charles Jagasaw to left guard and let him rock out. Let him rock out. Let him rock out. But other than that, I think CJ is going to be the dude for the entire season. That's how I forecast it. Before we get out of here, Left, I have a very interesting question based upon what Bo Collins said. The deep ball, the excitement about being explosive, making big plays, feeling healthy, loving the wide receiver room, loving Mike Brown, the camaraderie offensively. Who should be more excited about who? Should the wide receivers be more excited about Riley Leonard based upon what they had at quarterback last year? Or should Riley Leonard be more excited about the wide receivers considering what he had at wide receiver at Duke last year? Very interesting question, Left. Who should be more excited?
Who should be more excited? You said Riley at Duke. The second one. I think the second one.
Should the wide receivers be more excited about having a quarterback like Riley Leonard? Or should Riley Leonard be more excited about having the wide receivers he has in comparison to the receivers he had at Duke?
I think it's the quarterback, because I think the I think the receivers of the quarterback, because the confidence to get them in the building. Chris Mitchell probably had an idea that Riley, a little birdie told him Riley might be coming and the potential of what that could mean. And so I think the receivers at this point can trust that quarterback room a lot more than in the past. And because of that, I think that their effort and production is going to increase because of just trust alone. Now, obviously, the quarterback's going to appreciate that receiver room, but I don't think they had the talent before to maximize it. So I think they have enough talent with the offense that we're running that guys are going to get the ball and the receivers are going to run harder, knowing that they trust Denbrock in that quarterback position.
Yeah, should be exciting, man. I'm super excited about this offense, the promise it has, and it should be bombs away this season. They already proved with Sam Hartman that they could put up points on a consistent basis, especially against subpar competition. The test this year left will be who's going to carry the load in the big games. Against the best teams, who's going to step up offensively and defensively and make the game-changing clutch plays to lead the Fighting Irish to victory. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Before we get out of here, Left, who you got? Game 7. Florida Panthers, Edmonton. You going with the team with the momentum, or you going with the historically best defensive team in hockey in a Game 7?
Going Panthers, Florida Panthers. You know, I think they're gonna get it done.
I hope so, boy, because dude, I would not wish that being on my resume. The biggest choke job ever in sports. That's exactly what it would be. They will forever be known. They will forever be known as the biggest choke job ever in sports. Ever.
Well,
ever. Like that. I mean, it would be definitely close to, but that was the AL championship series when the Red Sox did it to the Yankees. And maybe because it was the Red Sox and Yankees, that's a little bit bigger. But hey, man. That would be pretty tough. That would be pretty tough if they lose this one tonight at home. And the Game 7 is at home, Left. Man.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens. I mean, this is what Game 7s are made of.
Yeah, man. If Connor McDavid wins this one tonight, that dude might go top 5 all time already. That's how big tonight is. We're talking about something that could establish him immediately. That's put him in the Hall of Fame right now. It's over. He can walk away. Hall of Famer, top 5. Dude. I think they get it done. So you said your guys offensively would be the wide receivers as far as carrying the load. I said offensive line. We stayed away from the quarterback position because that's just too easy. I don't think they have anybody physically as imposing as a Vince Young or a Cam Newton that can do that. But yeah, I feel confident about that. I said Drake Bowen individually. I'm hoping that for the young man. I really am. I'm hoping that, trying to speak that into existence for the young man defensively. And the low-hanging fruit would also be the 2 defensive tackles, right? They're the guys that the senior leadership, you expect them to step up and make those plays in big moments. And I'm sure they're going to go a long way to seeing if they can do that. Lucky Lefty Podcast. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow. We'll get into the youngsters, guys like Carson Hogg, your new Aussie punter, and some of the other new freshmen defensively to join the team. Your guy that you met, Cree Thomas, he has something to say as well about what he expects and the love he has for Mike Mickens as his defensive back coach. For Left, Sean Davis, have a great Monday. Make sure you do what? Continue to spin it different. Absolutely. We'll lock in with you guys tomorrow, man. Have a good one.